Okay, so after having calculated your mean, you put a column where you're going to put what we call the deviation from your number. So the first one I've got is 120 minus 126, which is -6. And put them, the correct way with the negative. If it's a negative, put it negative. 124 minus 126 is -2. Then I've got -1. Then I've got a 0. Then I've got 130 minus, which is 4. And then here I've got 5. So +4, +5, 0, 1, -2, -6. Now you may say to me, why did you put them with the negative? So I'm going to give you another tip here. And this is probably a very good tip to have, because it will confirm that so far everything you've got is okay. What happens if you do the sum of all your deviation from the mean? What happens if you sum that column? What do you get? Can you tell me? How much do you get when you add -6 minus 2 minus, that's -9 plus 9? This is where you, if you don't have any roundings here for your mean, this column here should be equal to 0. If it's not equal to 0, then you need to go back and have a look what you've done here. Maybe something is wrong. But there you go. This is another tip given for free. X minus X bar square is your last column.
Yeah.
So -6 times -6, +36. So here you should always get positive numbers, right? 36, 4, 1,
0,
0,
16,
16, and the last
20.
one, 25. And again, you get your calculator, you add all these together, not on your head, calculator, and then you get 82. Once you've done that, you get a second mark. You've filled in a couple of columns, you've squared those numbers. Now, in your formula sheet, there is what we call a standard deviation formula, which tells me that the standard deviation, to calculate it, you do sum of all your X minus X bar square, which is what we've done here. We've added all our X minus X bar square, but then you divide it not by N, but by N minus 1. And there you go. That's why we added them all up. We've got square root of 82 over 6 minus 1. What is 6 minus 1? 5. You put that in. And you have your standard deviation, which is equal to 4.049. You put ... And if you want, if they ask us to give the answer, you can give it to 1 decimal place if you want to, or 2 decimal place, it's up to you. They've not said anything. So we're going to give it to 1 decimal place, which is just 4.0 to 1 decimal place. So 1 mark, 2 marks, your third marks comes here, and then your fourth mark. So if you tell me now these 4 marks are not easy to get, especially that you've got a way now to find out if you're in the right ballpark, mean has got to be between your numbers, usually halfway in. When you add all these, you need to get 0. And squaring these numbers is not something difficult, but you've got a calculator, add them up, do square root of the fraction 82 divided by 6 minus 1, and that's your answer, 4 marks. So that was the lesson that you were meant to be going through last week, yeah? So anyone managed to do that lesson or find it not too difficult? It's a process, but if you do it a few times, you will get good at it. Any questions so far?
No, thank you.
Okay, so now to get the other 2 marks, I'm gonna have, yeah, so you need to put a couple of sentences, okay? So this is the tricky bit where you need to put a bit of English now, okay? So make 2 comments comparing the number of customers who are visiting these stores on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday, we said we've got standard deviation 4.0 with an average of 126. That is the Saturday, right? So you can put here Saturday, X bar 126, standard deviation 4.0. Now they've given us Sunday data. They said on the Sunday, we have an average of 117 with a standard deviation of 6.2. So we need to make 2 statements, okay? For the first one, I've got 126 on the Saturday, 117. You just say Saturday stall here. So Saturday stalls see more customers because you get 126 on average, more customers. So you need to mention that, more customers on average than Sunday. Because like you've seen, 126 is greater than 117. So you make a comment based on that. So the word to remember is this one, on average. But you need to make you need to say something about what you're going to write, okay? More customers on average. That is 1 mark. And for the other comment is a bit trickier. But what the standard deviation shows is the variation, how close we are from the mean, okay? As you can see, the bigger the variation in the number of customers compared to the average, the bigger the number. So here, you can just say there is more variation or less spread. These are the 2 type terms that you can use that will work. There is more variation or less spread in the number of customers. Again, I'm mentioning customers here. That is important. Number of customers, more variation or less spread visiting stalls on a Sunday. So you can just say, because there's more variation, 6.2, more variation or more spread. Yeah, there's more spread. Sorry, less variation more variation means more spread. Same thing, because 6.2 is greater than 4.0. That's it. And you've got your 2 marks. Okay. So that's how you would get 6 marks if you do the statistics question. And because you don't need to do quartile, median, semi-interquartile range, etc., you will get, I can guarantee you, you will get a question like this. And if you want to nail 6 marks, it's good to practice a few, learn these terms, spread, variation, read a bit the story, what they're trying to tell you, and I can guarantee you, you'll get very easily 6 marks. So when someone tells you statistics, oh, that is complicated, there are X bar. No, it's not. It's about aligning your numbers, finding the average, finding the difference of your numbers versus the average, squaring them all, adding them. Obviously, there are steps, right? And then when you divide them, you take the square root and that's it, and make a couple of comments. If someone tells me this is a difficult process, then the only thing I can say is just, you're gonna have to learn it. I'm sorry. Okay. Any questions? So this is a past paper question, and I wanted to go through it because I wanted you to see how I'm doing it. I'm sure the video goes through it the same way, even if it was a different teacher. Okay. So that teacher taught me before, so I know exactly how she goes about it. Okay. Any questions? Now it's your turn to practice them, but they're very similar. Okay, so we're going to move now on to the booster paper, paper one. So paper one, we said it's non-calculator. So hopefully you had a go at it. Again, I'm going to give you the tips so that you don't miss anything. So I know a lot of you would go, this was my style of going, oh, I do this time this, then this time this. So now for those who find it a bit too tricky, what I'm going to ask you to do is this. Write 3x. It's going to be 3x times this bracket. And if you do this, you are going to nail 3 marks, no bother. 3x times that minus 1, please write minus 1 times x squared minus 2x plus 3. And now you can start getting your marks. And this is where you do 3x times x squared, which is 3x cubed. 3x times negative 2x minus 6x squared plus 9x minus 1. This is important. It's minus 1 times x squared minus x squared minus 1 times negative 2 positive this time 2x minus 1 times positive 3 negative 3. 2 marks out of 3. And to get your last mark, group the likes. I've got x cubes stays x cubes. I've got x squared here and another x squared here. Negative 6 minus 1 more, so more negatives, negative 7x squared. I've got a 9x plus a 2x, that's plus 11x, and I've got my negative 3 on its own. And that's how you get your third mark. Okay, and what I said to the folks that are struggling with these long arrows, break it down in 2 parts. You're not going to be ashamed by doing it this way. But again, it's just because I see too many people missing that negative 1, and they just go, oh, that is 1 times x squared, and they go, okay, negative, and then 1 times negative 2, and they go, oh, that's negative 2x, and they go plus 3, and you lose a mark, you know, like that. So that's why I keep trying to find ways for you guys, even if it's pedantic, if it's patronizing as much as you want. I would rather be patronizing and know that you guys are going to get these right, because these are the simplest mark to get, for especially for those who find that sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Okay, so bear with me. I'm trying to give you as much clue as I can so that when the exam comes, you get as many marks as possible. Okay, any questions? Those are usually easy enough, right? Now, this next one is to do with working with fractions. So the two school of thought here. Some people would go, oh, I don't like these mixed fraction. I prefer just go top heavy. That's up to you. You can do it that way. But when you come to manipulate big numbers, the best thing to do is look at this and say, you know what? This is the same as 17 plus 2/3. That's what 17 2/3 is. Minus 8 minus 3/5. That's what it is. This at the top, we made it simpler by writing it like this. And that is 17 minus 8 plus 2/3 minus 3/5. And that is probably easier to manipulate because the fraction, what you need to find is a common denominator. And to do that, you can just do 5 times 3. So 17 minus 8, that would be 9. That gives you a mark to find that 9. And then I'm going to use a common denominator, 15. So 5 times 3 at the bottom, 5 times 2 at the top. Here, it's going to be 3 times 3 minus 9. 3 times 5, 15. And guess what? You get another mark for getting the common denominator. And you can finish that off by just writing this is 9 plus 1/15. But because they started giving us mixed fraction numbers, your answer is just 9 1/15. And that to me, I see less people making a mistake when they deal with smaller fraction than having to do 3 times 17 plus 2, because then you're going to start now talking about big numbers. This is paper 1. 3 times 17, some people make mistake with that. That's 51 plus 2. So you could have said, oh, 51 plus 2, that's 53. I'm going to treat it as 53 over 3 minus 43 over 5. You could have done this way. I'm happy for you to do it that way. And now some people say, oh, I do cross and smile. Now you need to do 5 times 53 minus 3 times 43. So you can see now you are manipulating huge big numbers divided by 15. And hopefully you will get 5 times 53, which is 265. Imagine the amount of time you're wasting for this. 3 times 43, 129. All this over 15. 265 minus 129. And you would get here 136 over 15. But you want to give it back the same way. This leave your answer, look, as mixed number. So you can't leave it like that. You've got to go and say how many 15 goes into, look at how this becomes a bit of a, oh, I hated this when I was at school. This is where it's coming back. Yeah. So 10, too big because it's 150. This is 9. What is 9 times 15? You need to do that. 9 times 15. 135 or remainder 1. And then you get your answer. But I can guarantee you, you have much, much more chance to spend a lot of time doing this than manipulating simple fractions like this. So please, if you get a mixed fraction like this, and especially they ask you give your answer as a mixed number, break them down and work with the smaller numbers, and you'll have more chance to get them right. So I hope you are seeing the difference between the two methods. I'm not saying you're not going to get this one correct, but I'm saying if I give you 100 of these tonight and I'll give you, you do it this way, and the other person do the 100 this way, I trust it more to, I would bet more on the person doing them this way to get them correct than you after having done 10, I've had enough of these big multiplications. Okay. Any questions? Mixed numbers, a practice. Okay, that's the only thing I can say. All right. Next question, you had decrease 840 by 13%. So you need to find 13%. How do we find 13%? Percent just stands for 1/100. How do I know that? A slash is a division. These two dots stand for 0, 0. There is your percent. Now, if you do 13 times that, you do 13 times 1. There you go, 13% of 840. That's the first thing you need to calculate. You can start simplifying. 84, so you can keep that. How do you do 84 times 13? It's up to you. Who said that I can't use what I've learned in math? To me, that is 84 times 13. 80 times 10, that's 800. 80 times 3, 240. 4 times 10, 40. 4 times 3, 12. 800, 200, 1000, 80, 92. That's you, 1092. That's 84 times 13. So I've got 1092 divided by 10. And that is 109.2. That would give you your mark. And writing this 13%, that'd be another mark. And now to find, if you decrease, you go down, your final answer is 840 minus 109.2. Unfortunately for this one, you can, how can you do it easily? You can do it the old way, right? Like you've done it at primary school, 840, but you need 0.0 because you've got a decimal. And start borrowing, right? So if you borrow here, you put a 9, and because you borrowed on a 0, you've got to put a 3. So some people are saying, oh, I can't remember doing this at school. 9, 9, 3, 3, and then 8 times 7. So if you think that's too complicated, you can't remember that, break down that 109.2. Okay, so 109.2 is 100 plus 9 plus 0.2. Maybe that way you'll get it. 730.8 would give you your next answers. But at National 5, they expect you to know these guys. Okay, I'm trying to find you ways to get them back, but there's so much we can do, right? Next question. Calculate the size of angle ABC in the following diagram. So when you see something like this, you need to think of, I've got parallel lines like F. So you've got something in that format. So every time you're going to see an F, we've got corresponding angles. So this angle here is the same as this angle here, which means this 65 here is the same as this 65 here. So by just putting that, you get a mark. 1 out of 3. That's not too bad. Now, because we're looking for this angle here, I've got here a straight line. If this is 95, here, what you've got left is 180 minus 95, and that is 85 degrees. And that would give you your second mark. 85, 65. What is so special about a triangle? All angles add up to what again on a triangle? So they all add up to 180. So your last angle here is just going to be 180 minus 65 plus 85. And that gives us 180 minus 130. And that is 30 degrees. Your third mark, which is what they ask you to find. Calculate ABC. ABC equal 30 degrees. But you can put them onto the diagram, you get the mark, even if you put them on the diagram. So here I would say the only difficulty here was for you to remember these F shapes. So F shapes, no matter how you see Fs, this angle is the same as this angle. X shape, this angle is the same as this angle. And then this angle here is the same as this angle. Okay, opposite angle, corresponding angles. What else? Oh, Z, alternate. So three things you need to learn is these. If you got a Z here, these two lines are parallel. This angle on the knee is the same as this angle on that knee. Three things, National 4, or I should say S1. Okay, so if you've got them in your head, and knowing that all angles on a triangle add up to, so sum of all angles is 180, then that's a good start. You will get these triangle questions, okay? Any questions? Next, factorizing. Oh, only one mark. Oof. So I'm looking at this thinking, I need to factorize this. But have a look, 8 and 1 makes 9, 2 and 1 makes 3. So you can use the 3 timetable, but look at even better. I've got even, even. So that means they're both in the 3 and they're both in the 2 timetable. So if you're in the 3 timetable and in the 2 timetable, that means you're in the 3 times 2, you're in the 6 timetable. That means you should be able to get 6 here as your common factor, 2x minus 3. So what was difficult here? To know the 6 timetable? No, because you can do it with the 2 and the 3. Okay. So because it's one mark, you need to get to this to get your answer. But let's say you said, oh, I can't remember my 6 timetable. You can have 2 times 6x minus 9. And hopefully you'll be able to see that 6 and 9 goes in the 3. And that is the same as 2 times 3 times 2x minus 3. But then you need to write what 2 times 3 is, 6 times 2x. So this is the long rooted way. By going through, oh, I'm going to do 2 first, then oh, I can see 3. All right. That's why they're not big marks. So now, difference of 2 squares. This is exactly the same as x squared minus 5 squared, like we did during the starter question. And we said that this would be just x plus 5 times x minus 5, or it's the same as x minus 5 times x plus 5. So if you root x minus 5, then you would get your 2 marks. 1 mark, 2 marks. Okay, so I'm trying to go fast so that we're not here all night. Next question you had, this is completing the square. Okay, so I'm going to give you a tip how to get them if you can't remember. So what we do is this A here, or this minus A, is half of that -6. So you would just need to rewrite x squared minus 6x plus 11 by halving that -6. To half it is -3 squared. But when we do this, we get x squared minus 3x, which is minus 6x, and then we get the plus 9 because -3 times -3, we get a plus 9 here, but we don't want the plus 9, so we need to take it away. So you need to do -9 and then you add the plus 11, and that would just mean x minus 3 square plus 2, and that would be 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this. Okay, so now let's see, you get in a few years' time and you can't remember this, or I had to have this. You can expand x minus a square, because that's x square minus 2ax plus a square plus b. Yeah, I've just expanded that. X square minus 2ax plus a square plus b. For this to be equal to this, -2a has got to be equal to -6, and a squared plus b has got to be equal to 11. So that part equal this, and this part equal this. -2a equal -6, which means a equal -6 divided by -2, that is 3. So I've got my a. I'm going to substitute a here, 3 squared plus b equal 11. What is 3 squared? 9. B is just 11 minus 9. And what is 11 minus 9? 2. That's exactly what we did here. 11 minus 9 was my 2. And a is that 3 there. And you can rewrite this as x minus 3 square plus 2. So you have a way to get back what you need by not learning a process. I need to have this. No, I can expand this. I'm looking at what they gave me, what it should be equal to, and that's me. So who thought of this way on the right? Who tried that in the first place? Because once again, guys, if you're not trying them, it's not going to go in. At least you've got 2 ways to get your answers, right? Any questions? Which one is easier?
The left. I think sometimes it's just like, see, for me, like I've not done maths since like high school, but like it's sometimes it's hard enough remembering like the full course within like a few months. So I try and just remember one. I know that's not the right thing to do, but sometimes it's just easier to remember how to do things one way rather than 2 different ways. So I think definitely the left one for me is easier.
Yeah. So to know what number do we need to take away, remember what x minus 3 square does. It's just x minus 3 times x minus 3, right? And that is x square minus 2 times 3, so minus 6x. -3 times -3 is plus 9, right? So that is x minus 3 square. But because I've got x square minus 6x, this adding a 9, I need to take it away. I need to take that away from this before adding the plus 11. That's where that minus 9 comes from. Okay. So if you were to rewrite this x minus 3, in case you can't remember, is it a takeaway or is it an add? write it down, and you'll notice that because you add it, you need to take it away in order to get x squared minus 6x, and then you add the plus 11 at the end. Okay, is that any clearer, Ibrahim?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next question, or changing the subject. Changing the subject. First thing, whenever you're going to get square roots where your subject is inside, you need to do the opposite of square rooting, and the opposite of square rooting is bringing everything square, right? So you get k plus 7 over 9 equal y square. Now get rid of the fraction by timing by 9 both sides. You get k plus 7 equal 9y square. And now taking away both sides the 7, you get k equal 9y square minus 7. And that's you, done. The marks, 1 mark for this line, 1 mark for this line, 1 mark for this line. Not much to do, but the technique. This is the balancing method. So I've skipped the wee thing where I says, okay, time by 9 this side, you need to time by 9 this side. Take away 7 this side, then you need to take away 7 this side. So now I'm not putting it because after having done quite a few now, we kind of know, right? Any question? All right, so next question. I've got fish foods on special offer. All right, so how much does the standard jar contain? So you had 390 gram, and the 390 gram represent 130%. So basically that's all you need to say is 130% is 390 gram. I want to know what was the 100% to start with. So you can find 1% by dividing 390 by 130. And once you've got that, you find 100% by timing all this by 100. Yeah. So 390 times 100 divided by 130, and I get 300.
Yes, 300.
But remember, this is a non-calculator question. Okay, so you need to see that 3 times 13 makes 39, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same as 100 times 3. And that is 300 gram. So the original, the standard jar contains 300 gram. Is that the way you guys would do it? You would say, oh, 130% is this. Some other people would say, oh, the standard plus 30% is the new jar, and so on and so forth. But you should be able to see that 30% of 300 is 30 plus 30 plus 30, that'd be 90. Your final would be 390. Okay, so laws of indices. Whenever you're going to get this, guys, this is what I want you to do from now on. You see that 3? I want you to put an arrow towards this one and an arrow towards this one. The same way you were doing expanding is the same way you should be treating these. That means I've got 2 cubed times x to the power 3 times 5, which is 5 times 3, which is 15. 2 cubed is 8, x to the power 15. And this is how you get your 2 marks. How many forgot that 2 needed to be put to the cube though. That happened. So we need to find a way so that you don't forget it. If you treat it the same way you expand, hopefully you'll be able to remember it. Okay, so the rule is when you've got a to the power m raised to n, it's just a to the power m times n. But if you had a b in front, the b as well would get to the power n. Question 10. I've got a diagram this time, quadratic. So I know when I've got a quadratic, we've got what we call a turning point, halfway, yeah, between A and B. Now they've asked me to calculate the coordinates of A and the coordinates of B. So to do that, A and B are what we call roots. Okay, so roots, how do we find the roots? We factorize. Okay, and how do we factorize? Remember I told you last time, I use this technique called MAM. I'm looking for two numbers. Here you've got an invisible one. So two numbers, when you time them, A times B, you get m times m, negative 20. And when you add them, you get the A in the middle. A plus B equal 1. For two numbers to have, if you add them, you get 1. That means you're going to have a positive and a negative because of that negative 20, but they need to be close to each other. So that means 20 is not going to be made with 20 times 1 or 2 times 10. We need to go further than that. And the further you can go is 5 and 4. Because 5 times 4 gives you 20. But which one is positive, which one is negative? Because when you add them, you're going to get a positive number. The bigger of the two number is going to be your positive one. And that's you. You just say x squared plus x minus 20 is just x plus 5 times x minus 4. And this is equal to 0 when x plus 5 equals 0 or x minus 4 equals 0, which give me x equal negative 5 and x equal positive 4. So look at the question. Calculate the coordinates. So you need to give them in x and y. So now A is the point on the negative side. A is at negative 5, 0. And B is at 4, 0. So you can just go on your graph, negative 5, 0, 4, 0. So if you put that, the guy just gives you 2 marks straight away. Plus saying this, you get 3 marks. 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, 1 mark to say that. Calculate the coordinate, the roots. They've even told you. Find the coordinate of C. C is the y-intercept, not the turning point. Make sure you look at the point here. C is what we called the y-intercept. And at C, we've got something x equals 0. At C, x equals 0. You replace x equals 0 into that x squared plus x minus 20. So 0 squared plus 0 minus 20. Then y is equal to negative 20. And again, we've been asked to find the coordinate. Therefore, C is at 0 for x, negative 20. And that's you for your last mark. And you can come over here if you wanted to, 0 for x, negative 20. They've not asked us to look for turning point. So if I were you during an exam, I move on. You're not going to get an extra mark by finding the turning point and so on and so forth. You just move on. This question here is a question as well that I'm sure you will get. Determine the gradient of a line. Usually the first thing to do is x1, y1, x2, y2. And Zach, you're going to have to learn this. It's delta y, the difference of y over the difference of x's. We've done enough of these so that from now on, you need to be able to say it's negative 3 minus 7 over 1 minus 3. And that just gives you negative 10 over 4, which you can simplify because they're both even as negative 5 over 2. And that gives you a mark for this and a mark for substituting it in. Okay. So it'd be easier to learn this than trying to figure out by drawing and you don't even have a graph paper and so on. Now we're going to use A and B as well because they've asked us to determine the equation of the line. So M we said was negative 5 over 2. And we can use y minus b equal m x minus a. So you can pick whichever you want. I'm going to pick a here and b. So substituting all these in, which gives us y minus 3 equal negative 5 over 2 x minus 1. And it's up to you how you want to write it down. You could go y plus 3 equal minus 5 over 2x plus 5 over 2. That's fine. And then take away 3 both sides. Y equal minus 5 over 2x plus 5 over 2 minus 3, which is the same as minus 6 over 2. And your final answer is just minus 5 over 2x minus a half. You can write it like that. Or if you prefer, you can say it's 5x plus 2y plus 1. Whatever format is fine. You get your mark for this. You get a mark for this. Okay. When you're asked to simplify, because you've got square roots, in order to simplify them, you need to find what we call square numbers in them. Guess what? 7 plus 2 makes 9. So root 27 is just root 9 times 3. Or you've got a 3 here. There's a good chance that the second one you're going to have something times 3. And guess 4 times 3. Root 9 is 3. Root 3 minus 2. Root 3. And to be honest, they've been quite generous here because you get a mark for this, a mark for this, and your last one, 3 of something minus 2 of it is just 1 of something, root 3. And please don't leave the 1 at the front. That will lose your mark. Okay. So I'm not going to do that. Sorry, yeah, on you go.
So why would you lose a mark?
If you put a 1. Yeah, because you don't write 1x, do you?
No.
That's why you lose a mark. I know it's tempting because you say, oh, 3 root 3, 2 root 3. But if you go 3 biscuits minus 2 biscuits, or 3b minus 2b. How do you write 3b minus 2b? Do you write 1b? I've noticed that you sometimes you do that, but you need to kind of
know.
kill that and just say this is b, because it looks
think
odd
I'm-
when you don't write.
Mhm.
If you write 1x, it looks a bit odd, no?
Yeah, no, it does. But like, see for that, like, because there's like letters involved, like I wouldn't, I will sometimes do, but I wouldn't do it for that. But for this third, because there's not really any letters involved, I'd be kind of tempted to do 1√3.
Yeah,
Don't
I
know
know.
why. I'll just need to get in the
'Cause I-
habit of not doing
Yeah,
that.
I wish this, if it was on a calculator, then you would
Mhm.
need to show your working. But if you type on your calculator √27 minus √12, it would come as √3. And even if you type 1√3 on your calculator, the calculator would just put it down to what it should be.
Mhm. Okay.
Because technically 1√3 is 1 time √3. And if you leave it like that, you don't know your 1 time table. That's what you're saying to whoever's marking you. 1 time 5 is just 5, right? You don't leave it as 1, 5. It wouldn't make sense, right? That's why 1√3. √3 is a number. Okay. Yeah, you need to force yourself. I've seen it. But do you know what? Bad habit tends to die hard.
No. Literally.
3r plus 2t is 940. So to get your first mark, you just pick the first letter. That's the standard. Some people use x and y, but I would rather if you use the letters, because when you use the letters, then you know when you're asked to calculate the cost of one row, it's going to be this one. I've seen people using x and y, and then at the end they mix them up and they lose marks. You know, silly marks, they are lost. So use just first letter equal 940, 1 mark. Second one, 2r plus 4t equal 840. That's your second mark. We're going to call one of these equation 1 and the other one equation 2. And now you need to show your technique that you will use to eliminate one of them to find the other one. So the easiest one here is to make that 2t a 4t. So you just need to time this one by 2 and keep this one the way it is. So if I time it by 2, I get 6r plus 4t equal 18.80 if you want. And if you take that away from the 2r plus 4t equal 840, then you've got 8r, oh sorry, take them away. 6 minus 2 is 4r. If I do, let's call this 3, and we call this 4 if you want. Then you just do 3 minus 4 gives me 4r equal 10.4, and r is just 10.4 divided by 4, or 5.2 divided by 2. And what's 5.2 divided by 2? So let's say you don't want to use your you can't use your calculator, but you need to divide £5.20 divide by 2. £5, 250, 20 pence, 10 pence. 250 plus 10 pence, 260. So you don't need to do any long divisions or whatever. Okay. So the cost of one rose is £2.60. Now I'm going to sub R equal 260 into 1, 3 times 260 plus 2t equal 940. That would give me 2t equal 940 minus 780. That is 160. Then t is just 160 divided by 2. And that is 0.80 if you want, or 80 pence. So to finish this, you need to put a wee sentence. So you would get a mark to come up with a strategy. You would get a mark to get these two values, and then you put a little sentence in English that just says 1 rose costs £2.60 and 1 tulip, that must be just before Valentine's or something. Look at the price of a rose, £0.80. And that's it, you get your last mark. So those were not too difficult. I'm not going to spend some time checking it, but I can quickly check it if I want to. I would just put 3 times 260 plus 2 times 080, make sure it's 940. And you do the same for the other one. All right, so for this question, we had a rectangle which had length given by x plus 4, x minus 1. All lengths are in centimeters. Show that the area. So what is the area? Area is this length times breadth. Length is x minus 1 times x plus 4. Actually, that was one of them that we did earlier on, no? And that would be x squared minus x plus 4x minus 4. And that is exactly x squared plus 3x minus 4. And you just write as required. Or QED, same thing. So that would be you, 2 marks there. First mark to show that you can say that, and then the second one to prove that you get that. Now they've told us this is exactly equal to 6 square centimeters, this area. Find the value of x. So we just need to now solve this x squared plus 3x. So because area equals 6, we need to just solve x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 6. Take away 6 both sides, and you end up with x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. So I've got to find two numbers. If I time them, I get negative 10. So 5 and 2 would do that. And if I add them, so time negative 10. So if I add them, I get positive 3. So the bigger of the two is positive, and the other one is negative. And that's how quickly you can do them. Okay. Positive 3 when I add, negative 10 when I time. You can rewrite that as x plus 5 times x minus 2 equals 0. So here we have two answers, right? X equal negative 5 and x equal 2. Positive 2, yeah. These are my two answers. Which one is the only plausible answer? It's got to be the positive. X has got to be positive here. because if x wasn't positive, you can't get a length that is negative. So the only one that is positive is x equal 2. You just went x equal 2 is the plausible answer, and that would give you your mark here. So a mark for this, a mark for this, a mark to solve it, and a mark to write this. 4 marks. And here 2 marks. Another 6 marks where you are asked to remember how to calculate the area of a rectangle. All right, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes break, and then if you want to come back, we look at paper 2. And instead of depreciation here, because you're not going to get any depreciation, we're going to say appreciate. Let's say this is a vintage car that is quite an old car and is still taken, because you're not going to have depreciation, right? We're going to make it so that it appreciate, it goes up. So do you want to take a quick break, get yourself a wee tea or coffee, and then hopefully we'll zoom through questions from paper 2. Should be quicker paper 2 because you've got calculator.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.